Now, quadratic formula is something that some of you will have seen before, but what we're going to do today is actually derive the quadratic formula. I want you to just sit here, watch, make sure you're following. If you don't follow any step, rewind it, watch the step again. Don't try and figure it out later on because there's a lot happening and it's really easy to get overwhelmed by it. So what we're going to do is try and solve this equation for x. So we have ax squared. We don't want ax squared, we just want x squared. So our first step is to divide everything through by a. So when we do this, we end up with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a is equal to 0. Then what we're doing is we're going to complete the square just like we were doing last lesson. So a constant term gets moved over to the right. So we x squared plus b over ax is equal to minus c over a. And then to work out what we need to add on to the end of this to make it a perfect square, we halve the coefficient of x. So half of b over a is b over 2a. And then we take that and we square it and we add that to both sides. So it's just what we were doing before, except instead of numbers, we're doing it with letters. So once we know that this is a perfect square, we can then factorize it. So the factors of x squared plus b over ax plus b over 2a all squared are x plus b over 2a all squared. So that is equal to, on the right hand side, we've still got our minus c over a, but the b over 2a all squared becomes b squared all over 4a squared. Now for the moment we're going to leave the left hand side alone and just work on the right hand side. So minus c over a plus b squared all over 4a squared. So if I want to put that all over one fraction, then I need to make the c over a into a fraction over 4a squared. So I need to multiply it by 4a. So I end up with minus 4ac, and we've still got the plus b squared, and that's all over 4a squared. So x plus b over 2a all squared is equal to that. So once I know that the left hand side is a perfect square, I can take the square root. So that means when I take the square root, I have x plus b over 2a, and on the right hand side I'm going to get plus or minus the square root of minus 4ac plus b squared all over 4a squared. So solving the equation, we've got x plus b over 2a, so we need to minus b over 2a. And I'm going to get minus b all over 2a plus or minus the square root minus 4ac plus b squared all over 4a squared. Now that's really ugly and I want to try tidying it up. So some of the things to notice about it, well, I've got minus 4ac plus b squared. Convention, we write the positive first, b squared minus 4ac. Just makes life a little bit simpler. Now that's over the square root of 4a squared. So what is the square root of 4a squared? Well, square root of 4 is 2, square root of a squared is 2a. So this is all over 2a, and I keep my square root just on the numerator. So I've taken the square root of the denominator, but not of the numerator. So I've got minus b all over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Both of my fractions are over 2a, so I can then combine them, and I get minus b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that is how I get my quadratic formula. So if you want to write it down, pause it now. If not, you don't have to. Okay, so there's the formula, and that's the thing that you must remember. And the reason you absolutely have to remember this is because it can be used to solve any quadratic, and it is going to be a major part when we start looking at parabolas, what their graphs looks like, what the solution to different problems that end up being parabolas are. So knowing that formula is going to make your life much, much easier. So looking at our first equation, x squared plus 7x minus 5 is equal to 0. So a is the number in front of x squared, so in this case a is equal to 1. B is the coefficient of x, so in this case that's 7. C is the constant term on the end, in this case negative 5. So when you substitute in, make sure you start with the formula. Same reason as before. It's really easy to make a mistake, showing that you know what the A and the B and the C are and that you can substitute correctly, even if you get the formula wrong, can get you some marks. So substituting those numbers in, we're going to get minus 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5, and that's all over 2 times 1. So 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5 is going to come out to be 69. So this is equal to minus 7 plus or minus the square root of 69 all over 2. Now 69 is not an easily square rooted number, so if they want an exact answer or a third answer, you stop there, and those are your two solutions. Okay, so let's have a look at the second one. 3m squared minus 5m plus 1 is equal to 0. So I want you to give this one to 2 decimal places. A is equal to 3, B is equal to negative 5, C is equal to 1. So substitute into your equation. So x equals minus b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So minus b, so it's going to give me 5, plus or minus the square root b squared. So be careful. You're doing negative 5 squared. That's going to be 25. That should never be a negative number. Whatever value b is, positive or negative, that squared term is going to end up positive. So then it's minus 4 times 3 times 1. And that's all over 2 times 3. So when you type these into your calculator, you're going to type in 5 plus the square root, minus 5 all squared, minus 4 times 3 times 1, all over 2 times 3. When you do that, your answer should come out to be 1.43 to 2 decimal places. The second time, you use the minus. So it's going to be 5 minus the square root of minus 5 all squared, minus 4 times 3 times 1, all over 2 times 3. That answer is going to be 0.23 to 2 decimal places. That's how you use your quadratic formula. The most important thing here is that you remember the quadratic formula. So say it over and over to yourself 68 times if that's what it takes. Write it out every single time you do one of these questions. Until you can write it down without having to look at it, then you need to keep practicing. If you can sit here and write it straight out and substitute in with no problem, then you won't need a lot of practice. But if you have to keep checking what that formula is, then you need to practice some more. Good luck, and I'll see you in class.